We got, you can see our speakers here at the top of the screen. So, woo, looking forward to being with you all here for 90 minutes. Thanks for being here.
Hi, everyone. Good to be together.
Sacred salutations, beloved catalysts of the new earth. Thank you for showing up.
Prosme etiquette, isoaricus de swanica servicium.
Oh,
Hello from Boulder, Colorado.
Big hello to all of you. Yeah, and if you like the idea, you might go ahead and share in the chat where you're coming in from. It's always kind of fun. This is always a global audience. So again, thank you for being here. Really an important program, Changing Humanity's Future, which is our overarching theme here in Humanities Team. And we're at the top of the hour. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm Steve Farrell. I'm a co-founder of Humanities Team. Welcome to our global gathering for the Changing Humanity's Future initiative. As you could see coming out, we've got a lot of special guests here with me. Be sure to stay to the end so you can catch the entire program, including question and answer at the end. Changing Humanity's Future, we launched this initiative a year ago in response to the huge challenges that are out in the world. You could even call them despair, hopelessness, disempowerment. I'm sure in your home, you see the same thing that we see in these discussions everywhere as the extreme weather gets worse with the Ukraine war and the polarity and all of these various things going on. And there are many, including in my own family, that feel like we're like a Titanic heading for an iceberg and going down. But as we know, that's not the case at all. There are a lot of really good things happening in the world right now. You're conscious. We're conscious. So this initiative is about calling attention to conscious living, elevating conscious living as the thing that creates this journey to a sustainable and fulfilling planet. And there are lots of good things happening. We're well on our way. This is my first call to action, though, to you, is I want to invite you to be one of the voices in these conversations where we talk about all of these, the downward spiral of things, that you be the voice for conscious living and share, hey, there are many of us in the world now that are awake to our oneness, to our unity, to this universal intelligence that we're all a part of. And we are well on our way toward creating a sustainable and fulfilling planet and humanity. So that's our first call to action. If you resonate with what we're doing, to be that voice, because that's a rare voice we're noticing right now in these conversations all over the world. And again, it's why we launched the Changing Humanity's Future initiative. Our vision is to make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. So that's in 17 short years from now. And we've actually made substantial progress, even though this initiative is only 1 year old. If you're on social media, you may have seen the science that we're elevating in social media that talks about our oneness, that we're a part of this whole, this one body. We've dramatically increased our spending on social media. We've created something called Humanity Stream 2.0. So this is our revolutionary streaming platform. I'll talk more about it a little later. And in creating 2.0, we've elevated the platform so that we can extend it to a wider audience. We have more video trainings. We have more live programs. We have a larger conscious community. We have more one-for-one programs. These are the free programs that we put out in the world for people that can't afford an economical streaming platform. But for a lot of the world, $400 a year isn't economical, or $39.99 a month is not economical. So for every purchase subscription, we gift, or I could say you gift, when you purchase Humanity Stream Plus, you gift an underprivileged, underserved individual with the streaming platform and the community. We give one away for each purchase. The Changing Humanity's Future Initiative, we're going to cover highlights here. I want to invite you to go to changinghumanity'sfuture.org if you have not done so in the last week. There are lots of updates. The fuller picture of this initiative and what we're doing is there. So write that down if you would, changinghumanity'sfuture.org, and check that out. So now, what do we mean by conscious living? Okay, we mean that this oneness that mystics have talked about and notables have talked about back to 500 BCE, this wholeness, this one body, this diversity and unity, this new spirituality, this conscious living. We mean that we're living into this. It means that we are aligned with this universal intelligence or consciousness that animates all things. Most people have understand that there's a universal intelligence or consciousness or loving presence that animates all things. We live into that when we're living consciously. So, and of course, when we live into that, and we understand that we're connected to the whole, all of Gaia, the earth, all humans, all life on earth, and for that matter, all life in the cosmos, we live into our connection. When there's connection, there's responsibility. If we're a mature person, we live into our responsibility. And if we're a mature person, we live into positive action, right, that we take because we have responsibility. And it's about as simple as that. And if you just reflect on your own life, I'm going to guess that you would say the same thing. At some point in your development on this conscious journey, you walked through a door and the world was different. And even now, as you look out, it's sacred. It's everything, the words God and life, God and love, God and cosmos, God and universe are interchangeable, right? So the whole world is sacred. And when we're living consciously, we see a sacred world and we live into that. And we all go to our place in the world, the thing that we're called to do the thing that we're called to do, that nurtures life, that supports life. And we can't do everything, but all of us can do something. Now, today, April 5th, is the first day of Passover. The Sunday is Easter Sunday. We didn't actually set this program up being aware of that. But I want to just suggest that I don't think it was a random thing that this meeting landed here, the first day of Passover, and as we come up on Easter Sunday. Because what these holy days represent is the defeat of death, everlasting life, this journey to a sustainable and fulfilling life. And again, as we look at today's world and what we're doing here with changing humanity's future, are we not doing this very same thing? Because everlasting life, of course, is one of the attributes of the cosmos and of the divine. Unlimited potential is also part of what the divine and the cosmos are. And we're living into that. We don't any longer believe that we're just one and done with each life, right? Those things that we learned in our science classes, lucky sperm, our two parents gave birth to us, we go to a skeleton and dust. All of us here understand the new science, right? The mystical teachings, read Conversations with God, any or all of these things. And we understand that that's the furthest from the truth. There is no truth to that. And of course, this is another thing that helps to create a sustainable and flourishing planet, because when we live into the truth of who we are, how could we just run around like a spoiled kid, fouling our planet, not caring for each other, starting wars, and these various other things that are going on. So now I want to say that in my view, there's a 100% chance we're going to be successful with your assistance. And I mean that. I'm not just spinning a story here. There's a 100% chance we'll be successful with your assistance, because there's always a time for everything. And this time for the diversity and unity, for oneness, for wholeness, for this one body of which we're a part, I believe that's now. And there's all kinds of things happening out in the world that are where this is emerging that caused me to say this. So what I talked earlier about why we launched the initiative, hopelessness, despair, etc. Boy, we're going to put that out so fast with your assistance. There is so much we can do as we accelerate this initiative along. What's important, and this is, you could call it a call to action too, is just living into the truth of who we are, individually and collectively. This is the thing. All of these things that I'm using, words that I'm descriptions I'm bringing in to talk about conscious living. What's important is that we really live fully into, we understand it was an optical delusion that caused us to live the ways that we were before. And now we really live into this wholeness, this oneness. And then the microcosm, macrocosm thing kicks in, right? Right now in the macrocosm, all these things are going on out in the world. Why? Because in microcosm, we're sitting here, the majority of the people on the earth, experiencing optical delusion, seeing separation. We heal that, live into ultimate reality as we understand it now, into the oneness, into the wholeness. And macrocosm, bam, the first domino, we heal these things. You can't start a war. You can't be a part of polarity where you're going to be in the red state or blue state. Because you're going to be in the one state. We can't just not steward the earth and just let these carbon emissions foul our planet the way they are. We'll stand up and not allow these things when we live into the truth of who we are. Now, science and wisdom sources are supporting all of the things I'm saying here, where I talk about oneness and one body and wholeness and these things. I'm not going to cover all of that science here on this call, but I'm guessing all of you are aware of what science is bringing in now. The latest of which is the Nobel Prize for Physics in October of last year, where you have 3 scientists that are called out for entanglement. Entanglement is one of the properties of oneness, where you've got 2 things on different sides of the universe that don't appear to have any connection at all, but that are connected. Or Nassim Harameyn's Resonance Science Foundation and the research that they're doing with his unified field theory, with these equations for the physical and non-physical, everything from protons and atoms to cosmological objects, galaxies, and everything in between, where his equations to 13 digits share that we're, as he puts it, sovereign to one body. And as he puts it, that we would then walk around with straight posture, with a smile on our face, with hope, with possibility, with all kinds of things, because we know the universe cannot exist without us. We are an inseparable part of the universe. So I'm assuming here that you all also are well versed in the science that's coming out now that 100% validates this wholeness, this oneness, this diversity and unity. Okay, let me get to the how here. So you might be asking yourself, in 17 years, we're going to make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040, 17 years. And you might be saying, how in the world would we do that? 3 ways. 1, we elevate conscious living as the thing. It's in these conversations that are happening all over the planet. We're not any longer a rare voice in those conversations. It's coming into the conversations that, yeah, all these challenges are going on, but look at the great progress that we're making where we are living into our wholeness, our oneness, etc. So a massive social media campaign that elevates this initiative is 1. 2, the Humanity Stream Plus platform. We're going to share screen in a moment so you can see it visually. It is a revolutionary platform. It's available on, you can access the live programs and video programs in the community on handheld devices, iPads, computers, your phone, etc. And it's 1 click horizontally and vertically. It is revolutionary in this industry. And we have hundreds of programs on it now. When we put that platform, and again, we're giving 50% of the subscriptions away for free in our 1-for-1 program. When that platform comes into a home, and it's now, we've dropped the price by $200 already to $399 for when you do purchase it. There are these hundreds of programs that deepen our conscious living. In fact, the speakers here all have programs, or soon will have programs on the platform. And there are hundreds of others, the Greg Braden and Nassim Harriman and Lynn McTaggart and Bruce Lipton and on and on and on. So that's 2, education. 3, activism. And where we start with activism is with action steps. Okay, and that website I gave you earlier, changinghumanitiesfuture.org. When you go to that website, you'll see in the navigation something that says action steps. And the action steps, there are 22 right now that speak to how we can deepen our conscious living. They come from the almost entirely from the Conversations with God books, which were never meant to just be a hot read. They were meant to provide vision and direction and steps that we can take to create this sustainable and flourishing earth. And there'll be many more action steps that we'll introduce. It starts, though, with ourselves. And a lot of what you'll see is following the impulse of our soul in every moment. You'll see this in these action steps. Jim, you might share screen real quick so people can visually just see this platform. We're going to just show it for 30 to 60 seconds. I want you to see it. We're going to scroll down. We're in the library now. Visually, look at this library. When I say it's a revolutionary platform, I'm not trying to spin a story or sell you or market you or anything like that. It is a revolutionary platform. Visually, it's like this. And again, on any device, you can come in, you can click horizontally. If you want to go to another program, you can click vertically, keep going down into training. It's not the 8-step thing that we're used to in the transformational education industry. So I want to invite you, and by the way, you can scroll all day in here for video trainings and the live programs that are now soon going to be every day, and we have more than one a day. Urban Laszlo's year-long programs coming to the platform here in the next month. Lots of things. More than anything, this is actually a conscious community that's supporting people on the conscious journey. So from the video trainings, the live programs, viewing parties, and all of these things, come back, go to humanitystream.net and get yourself familiar with this platform, because this is a key part of our strategy. Okay, I'm going to end just by sharing from Conversations with God. This is Neale, of course, is the author of Conversations with God, the 9th book in the series. The last one that came out was unexpected. It's called Awaken the Species, which is what we're doing here now. In all caps, the book says 3 things that I want to share with you, which inspire me every day. 1, that right now, we are one decision away from this sustainable and flourishing earth. One decision away, all caps. 2, that this is the perfect time for advancement for our species. All caps, perfect time for advancement right now. And then 3, and this one kind of jolted me a little bit. The book says, the hardest part of this journey is behind us. It's behind us. It's not out ahead of us. And if you reflect on the last 20 years, and many of you probably have been on the journey that long, you could probably see how it is true that the hardest part of the journey is behind us. Okay, with that, I want to introduce, I'm going to read a very brief description for our guests that follow me, and then we're going to go to Neale Donald Walsch. So Neale Donald Walsch is author of Conversations with God series and co-founder of Humanities Team. Michael Bernard Beckwith is the founder of the Agape International Spiritual Center, a trans-denominational spiritual community with a congregation of over 9,000 members and 1 million streamers. Suzanne Giesemann is a messenger of hope and the founder and teacher of The Awakened Way, a path to knowing who you are and why you're here. She's included in the Watkins list of 100 most spiritually influential living people. Oscar Miro-Quesada is the founder of the Heart of the Healer Shamanic Mystery School and originator of the Hashaputi Mesa tradition, cross-cultural shamanism, and internationally acclaimed shamanic teacher and healer, earth-honoring ceremonialist and author. Oscar is OAS Fellow and the Ethopsychology and member of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. Dr. Jude Curivan is cosmologist, planetary healer, futurist author, previously one of the most senior businesswomen in the UK and co-founder of Whole World View. Hostetter is an advisor to Humanities Team, assisting the executive director in strategy, fundraising, and legal matters. He is a lawyer, author, father, thought leader, and founder of several initiatives designed to raise consciousness and make this world a more peaceful and harmonious place. And thank you all again for being here as part of this program. Neale is coming on next.
Thank you, Steve. It's lovely to be here with all of you. We've been talking for the first 20 minutes or so of this program about Humanities Team, what it's doing, why it's doing it, what the opportunities are. You've just heard a list of and a little rundown of the background of all the people who'll be sharing with us here today. So we've been talking about everybody in the world, Humanities Team, but I'd like to spend just a minute or two talking about you, because I want to talk about you. This is about you and the role you choose to play in the rest of your life. If you think it's a coincidence that you're here today, I'd like you to really look closely and carefully whether that's true. I don't think it's a coincidence that your soul, if I could speak in lofty terms, actually brought you here and invited you here and has caused you to be here with all the rest of us, to hear not only what we have to say, but most importantly, to hear what you have to say. Yes, I know it's kind of a twist, kind of a different way of looking at it, but I'd like you to consider the possibility that you've come here today to hear what you have to say, after hearing what it is that we have to say, because what you have to say is the most important part of this program. And we hope that what you will say is a single word. Yes. But before you can get to that single word, let me invite you to look at a different aspect of who you are and why you're here. Most people do not ask themselves life's 4 fundamental questions. The 4 fundamental questions of life that I was given in the Conversations with God experience. Oh, and by the way, if I could just digress for one moment, I don't want any of you here to think that because I had this Conversations with God experience that I'm somehow unusual or different or larger than or in some way other than all the rest of you. The very first and most important message in the Conversations with God dialogue is that we are all one and we're all having the same experience. That is, all of us are having conversations with God all the time. We're simply calling them something else. We're just giving them a different label, a brilliant idea, a sudden inspiration, an epiphany, women's intuition, whatever you want to call it. But the way that larger ideas, grander truths, and deeper understandings come to us and come through us, I chose to call it a conversation with God. And I kept track of what I was receiving in that way and put it out there in the world, never dreaming that it would have the impact that it's had. And that's why I want you to know that you as well as me, could have an impact much larger than you ever thought you could have. See, all we have to do here is reach critical mass. And it might only take one more person. That might be the exact reason why you're here today. One more person for us to reach critical mass. So if we can reach critical mass in the message that we choose to send to the world, the message that we are all one, and elevated consciousness can create the world that we choose and that we desire most. If that's true, then your answer, what we've come here to hear from you about today, could be the most important single word you've ever said in a very long time. So please allow yourself to embrace the notion that it's not a coincidence that you came here today. And then allow yourself to ask again, if you've already done so, and perhaps for the first time, if you never have done so, ask yourself the 4 fundamental questions of life, the questions that most people go through their entire life and never really sit down and explore in any kind of really deep or lasting way. The questions are, number 1, who am I? Number 2, where am I? Number 3, why am I where I am? And number 4, what do I intend to do about that? These are the questions that I was invited by God to ask myself every morning of my life. So in my world, I've written them actually with a black magic marker on my mirror, on the mirror in the bathroom. When I could shave and get myself ready for the day, I see them at the top right-hand corner of the mirror. Who am I? Am I simply this, a body and a mind? Or am I a spiritual entity, am I a spiritual being that simply has a body and a mind? Question number 2, where am I? Am I, in a city, in a town, in a place? No. The question is larger than that. The question asks me, where am I in relationship to all the rest of the cosmos? I am in the realm of the physical, as opposed to the realm of the spiritual, whence I came. The place that I arose in and have come from. So this is where I am now in the physical realm. Question number 3, why am I where I am? That's the question you're going to answer today. Why am I where I am? See, there's more going on here than meets the eye. I love Shakespeare on this. My friend Bill, he put it perfectly in his writing. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Well, now there are not more things that are dreamt of in our philosophy. We are dreaming them, and now we have an opportunity to place our dreams into action, to take charge of change. That's my little motto that I tell myself every day in my life. Neale, take charge of change. And that's the opportunity that you have. It's exactly why you came here today. You didn't come here by coincidence, by chance, by happenstance. Look to see how you even found out about this program today. Just take a look at, how did it come to pass that I came to know about this moment of my life and that this program is taking place? Not a coincidence, not happenstance. You came here on purpose. You came here on purpose with a purpose. And that's not only why you came to this program today, it's why you came to this planet. It's why you came to this realm of physicality. It's why you came into life in the way we are now expressing it and experiencing it, so that you could express and experience who you really are as the creator and one of the co-creators of our collective reality. That's what you are, one of the co-creators of our collective reality. And that brings us to question number 4 of the 4 fundamental questions of life. Who am I? Where am I? Why am I where I am? And now the big question, what do I intend to do about that? And that's the question we're going to invite you to look at and to respond to and to answer before this very program is over today. This program that you're watching right now could be a major turning point in your life. Not that it's going to take you away from what you're already doing, being, or having, but that it's going to add to it, supplement what it is you are being, doing, and having in such a way that when you put your head on the pillow and have that final moment of your life, which is not really a death at all, but simply a graduation to the next experience. But when you have that moment here, you can say, yes, now I understand why I came here. And when you move to what people popularly call the other side, you will hear these wonderful words ringing in your ears because of the decision you make today. And here are the words you will hear when you cross over. Well done, good and faithful servant. Well done. So if you want to hear exactly what we're talking about in sterling terms, in exciting terms, in specific terms, in words that you will understand and can ignite you to the next level, listen to the people who will follow me here today. Listen to their experience of what I'm now talking about, and listen to what they have to share with you, not the least of whom is my brother, my dear friend, one of the most wonderful human beings I've ever met in my life, who understands everything that I'm sharing with you here and can say it in terms and in words that are far more eloquent than I will ever be able to share. My friend, Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith.
Thank you, Neale. Thank you. And Michael, welcome.
Brother Steve, thank you so much for the invitation. And my brother, Neale Donald Walsh, who I had the opportunity to do programs with on Humanities Team. God bless you. Deep bow to you, my brother. You give me too much praise, which is probably a deep reflection of your own soul that you're seeing in the mirror of mine. God bless you for the words you said this morning. Brother Steve, thank you for the invitation. You're inviting us to keep on pace in a very powerful way with what humanity is facing at this particular moment, in this particular time in history. And Neale has laid a very powerful groundwork. I would only add, it's not that humanity is facing something, it's that something is facing humanity. Something is facing the deep potentiality that's within our soul that at this particular time, whatever it appears that we're facing is the evolutionary trigger activating the latent potential and possibility that lies within us all. And so we want to kind of shift the perception a little bit from we're facing so much out there. There are wars, there are rumors of wars, there's climate issues, there's violence, there's so much happening out there. And we want to come to an understanding that all of that which appears to be out there is activating something within us to become more of ourselves, because the answers are not in the manipulation of that which we can see with our sensorium, the senses. It's us becoming a larger version of ourselves, a greater version or the real version of ourselves, which handles the issues that we're now presently facing. In the same way that an aphid handles its issue by growing wings and a caterpillar handles its issue by becoming a butterfly, our issues are handled as we begin to become and activate the next great vision and version of who and what we are, which is why Humanities Team has so many great teachers and individuals basically bringing practices, spiritual technologies, ways of looking at things that move us from any sense of helplessness or hopelessness into a sense of the answer is not only within us, the answer is us. The answer is our vibrational frequency at the next level of our unfoldment. And so when we're speaking about keeping on pace, so to speak, this does not mean rushing. This does not mean running around really fast to get somewhere. It is to move ourselves into a space of holy realization that what we are seeking exists already, but we're lifting ourselves into that awareness, into that frequency, into that vibration, so that which already exists in the heart mind of the infinite now has a vehicle, a vessel, instruments, as Neale was saying. The reason that we've arrived on this particular technology right now, we become the instruments of that which already is to flow into the world, so to speak. I remember a couple of personal experiences. One, many years ago, many moons ago, when I had my first awakening as an adult. And I died in a lucid dream. It was very painful, emotionally, psychologically, physically. When I came out of it, I was penetrated by the beauty, the love, and the beauty of the presence. And the beauty was beyond description. It still can bring me to a level of emotion right now. If I talk about it too long, and the intelligence and the love was just everywhere. But as I looked out in my surroundings, the lint on the rug, the little dust on the floor, everything was exactly as it was, but everything was perfect, exactly as it was. I saw everything from a different vibration, a different perception. And then it was a moment a few years ago where I was leaving an appointment in Santa Monica, and I was on my way to go home to prepare to speak at a Wednesday night service at Agape International. And I was stuck in traffic. The traffic was like a parking lot. And I can remember when I was in this parking lot traffic, it was not going to be enough time for me to get home, change my clothes, and get to Agape. But something happened. I went into this expanded state of awareness. And I could see that there was one being driving all of these cars. It wasn't separate beings driving. It was one being, and there was nothing wrong. There was no problems at all in this traffic. It was just one being driving all of these cars. And I could see that all of the problems were coming from people's minds being agitated about being stuck in traffic, possibly being late for a meeting, having worst case scenarios as to what would happen if they were late. It was anxiety, anxiousness going on, but there was nothing wrong at all. Everything was perfect. And I remember being in this expanded space, and I was just sitting in my car in cosmic awareness. Life was good. Nothing had changed with traffic, but my perception of everything had changed. So when I say that what's happening in the world is facing something, it's facing our potential to see things differently. Now, here's the deal. As we're able to stabilize that level of awareness through the spiritual technologies that you learn right here on Humanities Teams with many of the teachers you'll be hearing today, you're able to have insight and stabilize at that level, then there is a manifestation process. Right thought, right speech, right action occurs in this dimension that represents the all is well consciousness. So it's not putting our head into the ground and pretending there aren't issues. It's not mamby-pamby Pollyanna thinking, but Pollyanna was kind of a high state of consciousness. It's not that. We actually become the frequency of the answer and walk in that dynamic. And as we're walking the dynamic, thought, speech, action represents the answer. So the rushing to manipulate or to make something happen in the world ceases, but we become the tip of the spear of transformation, a revolution in consciousness. We hear the vibration, behold, I make all things new. Now that's what I saw. It's like everything looked the same in the physical, but it was new. The vibration, the real frequency was there. Everything was new. And so as we're inundated with worst case scenarios that are actually happening on the planet, people are actually experiencing so much. There's something about us that's bigger, in using scriptural terms, that which is within us is greater than that which is within the world of appearances, the world of circumstances, the world of situations, the worlds of cause and effect. Something within us is bigger. Our role is to do what we're called to do, to have that awareness, and then we're compelled into what? We are compelled into right action. What we do represents the is, and then with the awareness of this, our planet, Mother Earth, Gaia, is vibrating higher than it's ever vibrated before, waiting for us to come into alignment with that frequency. Again, all of these particular courses allow us to come into alignment with the higher frequency so that we become the vibrational answer. So we're not praying to God. When we love, we have compassion, patience, kindness, generosity. That's God. That's God operating through us. So we're not praying to God. We're actually being the vehicle of God. Not a guy in the sky, but a presence that's never in absence. And as we become the vehicles, lifting our vibration with spiritual technology, allowing those qualities to flow through us, we become in alignment. So it's not being right or wrong. We're not into right or wrongness. We're into alignment with what is real. Now we can declare and decree something. And because we're in alignment with the so, then that which is so becomes manifest, you see. It means we're becoming more powerful, more full of the power of the presence. So without denying issues that have us use so many tissues, we're opening ourselves up to see possibility and then become the tip of the spear of that possibility coming into form, timelessness, breaking into time as our very life and being. You said something earlier, Steve, and that is you were unequivocally in tune with the fact that you were absolutely sure that humanity is going to not only survive, I don't remember the exact words you said, but that they'd say we're going to win, we're going to survive, we're going to go to the next level of unfoldment. I'm in absolute agreement with that. It's the vision that's pulled me for 40 years. What I've seen, even though we're inundated with worst case scenarios, fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, lack, limitation, scarcity, not enoughness, we're inundated with those frequencies. I see, and Neale Donald Walsch was mentioning this, I see the tipping point. And Neale and I have been in the game long enough to know that some of the stuff we're talking about now was nonsensical 30, 40, 50 years ago. It was like, it was crazy talk. It was like, what are you talking about? Now it's become, what was peripheral is now central to the conversation. What was deemed crazy 30, 40 years ago is now almost commonplace with epigenetics and all manner of scientific quantum reality, absolutely embracing what the mystics and metaphysicians have been saying for years. The tipping point is happening. Doesn't mean we don't have a level of gravitas, a level of what we're doing is important, and we don't have and we don't lose our compassion about some of the destruction, some of the abuse that's happening to the planet and to people. No, we double up. in compassion, kindness, generosity, forgiveness, creativity, so that regeneration, renewal, behold, I make all things new, can flow through us, anchoring it on earth as it is in heaven, which is the realm of ever-expanding good, which is at hand now for those who have spiritual eyes to see and spiritual ears to hear. Here's the deal. I'll leave you with this. I've taught over the years that we do not see because we have eyes, but we have eyes because we have the faculty of seeing. We see the invisible. Form follows consciousness, so we're able to see, and then we produce the eyes. We're able to hear, then we produce the ears. So our mindscape must contain the possibilities that we desire. For if the mind does not see possibility, then the eyes will not be able to see opportunities. The mind doesn't see possibility, the eyes can't see opportunities. So Steve, you've brought us here together today to see possibility, to live in it, so that we can begin to see the many opportunities that are all around us to be the next great vision and version of ourselves. That's it. Thank you for the invitation to be here with all of you beautiful people, including my brother Neale Donald Walsh, and you, Steve, and Garth.
Beautiful. Thank you, Michael. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And we've got Oscar Miro-Quesada coming next, Suzanne Geeseman after that, Jude Curivan after that. Thank you, Michael.
Peace and blessings.
It is a true honor to be a collective that is a critical mass that feeds in a loving, compassionate manner our noosphere, our collective consciousness that envelops this planet and trickles down as a luminosity that has inspired our ancestral people since time immemorial to show up, be present, speak our truth with unencumbered heart, and remain unattached to the outcome. These principles that were highlighted by a dear friend and ally of the great work, Angeles Arian, the cultural anthropologist, serve to remind us that I am, we are here now, all one within. For there is no separation between self and other, between the inner and the outer. As you well know, and it's been mentioned and so wisely expressed by our panelists and invited speakers so far, but most importantly, lived in the flesh by each two-legged who has shown up as hollow bones, as vessels, where our stinking, thinking, drunken monkey mind is realized as an illusory adversary rather than some extraordinary tool that has allowed humankind to attain the technological advantages and the modernization that unfortunately is a double-edged sword, as we well know. So we must tread this path of technological as well as human transformation in a manner that honors the living, sentient, pulsing Gaia Pachamama, the soul of our mother, our anima mundi. There's a Hasidic saying that goes, if I paraphrase correctly, if you hear that the world is coming to an end, first go plant a tree and then see if the story is true. And this is what we're talking about here. We are a collective of agency, of action, of collective impetus that have woken up to the fact that what harms another harms ourselves. What is expressed as a lovingly compassionate presence of expanded consciousness, where we can understand as well that letting go or releasing everything we are under the illusion that needs fixing, and instead allowing everything to come in, allows our earth dance to be a sacred path of transformational service upon planet. That our world needs loving more than it needs fixing. And it's up to us to begin with that ability to accept, to love, and to embrace all conflict, all dissonance, all destructive outside presence, with an attitude of being a hollow bone, being one and each other as reflections of the infinitude of Indra's pearly cosmic net, in which every pearl is a sphere that reflects holographically the rest of the web, the rest of great originating mysteries tapestry, and rejoice and dance and allow that creative pleroma, that fullness that beautifies and sanctifies not only our own lives, but the way in which life sanctifies us, to be celebrated through ritual, through storytelling, through pilgrimage, through ways that our ancestral shamanic peoples knew creates a narrative that is sustainable, that is species-wide earth regenerative, because we do not do anything without having the body of our mother and our 7 generations in awareness of the impact that our own existence will have. So therefore, I ask you to do the following, please, and open up your hearts. Place both of your palms to the screen. Bring your awareness to your breath. Allow your exhalation to be full, complete. Empty your lungs completely of all air. Hold on that exhalation and gently inhale through the nose, filling your lungs to capacity. Retain, crystallizing this collective breath in consciousness, and gently exhale through the nose. Very good. And please, if you find yourself willing to do so, either silently or out loud, say the following: to the above, may it inspire us. To the below, may it sustain us. To the behind, may it protect us. To the before, may it guide us. To the left, may it purify us. To the right, may it strengthen us. To the within, may it remember us. One last deep breath through the nose, scooping up this collective, energetic, unifying narrative into your soul by placing left hand to right shoulder, right hand to left shoulder. Retain, and in Aini, in sacred reciprocity for the sacred gift that is life, blow forth to the above. 1, 2, 3. Consciousness begets matter. Language begets reality. Ritual begets relationship. Nature begets purpose. Love begets life. Thank you for the opportunity to share these words. Unlimited, ecstatic love to everyone. Highly.
Thank you so much, Don Oscar Miro-Quesada. Thank you. Beautiful. And Suzanne Giesemann is coming in here next.
Thank you, Steve. Hi, everybody. I just can't help but rejoice in the diversity of ways that joy, God's source, shows up through each of us. Watching the previous speakers, I rejoice in our differences and our unity at the same time. My background is quite different from others. I spent 20 years as a Navy officer, retired as a commander, and my view of oneness then was pretty non-existent. It was all about uniformity, wearing the same uniform and saluting and carrying out your orders. I did not know about oneness. I didn't know there was a greater reality until the death of my stepdaughter catapulted me into meditation and seeking answers. And boy, did I find them through a personal practice of sitting in the silence and what I call sitting in the power. So today it's my mission to share what I call no other explanation moments. Some people have NDEs, some people have OOBs, out of body experiences, or STEs, spiritually transformative experiences. I like to share NOEs. There's no other explanation moments than that we are part of something so much greater. And I know that every one of you listening has had your own NOEs, and I want you to celebrate those. But it's also by listening to other people's stories that you open up to having those experiences of our interconnectedness yourself. So I'm just going to share 3 really quick ones. I just came out of a class of teaching people how to connect with higher consciousness and share these most recent stories. One session that I did when I helped a mom connect with her daughter who had passed. And that daughter came through so clearly, we could feel her personality. It had mom laughing and crying at the same time. And the daughter showed me how protective she was of her mother and gave me an incident that happened in a grocery store parking lot. I saw this and related it to mom. Can you imagine mom's joy to say, oh my gosh, I was hit by another customer, literally slugged by a customer in a grocery store parking lot, and got in a tussle on the floor and made the mistake of calling my daughter, who came running down to the parking lot to rescue me. That's how protective she was. I call this a gold nugget, something you would never know about somebody, but what does it show us? That daughter is not dead and gone. She still exists as a being of light across the veil who came back with that bit of evidence, but with messages to help her mother heal. A really profound moment I had taking this to a different level is when I was bringing through one woman's mother and father and brother across the veil, when suddenly I was stunned to feel a presence I recognized from my personal meditations was the presence of Jesus. Now, I wasn't raised in any one religion. I talked to a bunch of masters. Any of us can learn to do that. But I was really surprised when he showed up in this woman's reading with messages for her. And he said, she has a personal relationship with me. I want her to know she can trust this relationship. In fact, she keeps a necklace of mine hidden from everyone. And I shared this with my client. She reached down inside her turtleneck and pulled out a cross that she wears across her neck that was hidden. And she said, Suzanne, I asked him to speak to me today through you. That was a big lesson in trusting. How are these kinds of connection possible? Because all of us, masters, angels, guides, your loved ones who have passed, and you are all arising within one sea of awareness. And I was lately shown by my guides to call it the SEA, the sea of awareness, the single-eyed awareness of being, that we are all connected to this one source and we are all playing out its stories for the joy of it. I brought through a woman's husband yesterday in a reading, and I got his personality, how he passed, all of these things. He was able to let her know with this evidence that I was really talking to him. Then he had his messages of love, a few apologies to pass on to her. And he said to her, I'm here for you, babe. I passed those words on to her. She looked stunned and she said, that was what he always said to me. Those are the moments that I celebrate. And I hope you celebrate your no other explanation moments. His message is one for all of us. We need to be here for each other. At the beginning, when I found out I was able to work as a medium for others, I called it the M word. like I didn't want to say it, like it was a bad thing. But what is mediumship? It shows the interconnectivity, the oneness of all of us, but it's just the basic level, at the personal level, but we are connected at a species level, the one human mind. We need to come together consciously and celebrate this. You're listening to this program because, like Michael Beckwith said, you're the point of the spear, right? We are the vanguard. You're here because you know this in your heart. So don't hide behind what will people think when I share my no other explanation moments. Don't do it anymore. We need to bring conscious living to the forefront, and you are the ones that are going to make it happen. Go to dinner parties and say, you won't believe what happened to me. I had this experience in a dream, or I felt this connection, or I saw my loved one who's not dead and gone. They appeared to me. Everybody has a story and we're afraid to share them. Once you start people thinking outside the box, then we start questioning, who am I really? It's when you ask those deeper questions that you get to the oneness through personal experience. And that's part of my Awakened Way teaching. The Awakened Way has 3 principles. I'll share them really quickly with you. Number 1, you're not only human. So if you're not only human, which these NOE moments show, then what are you? Yes, you're a soul, a beautiful light, but you're also a direct expression of source. Number 2, you're part of one big web connecting all that is. And Oscar Quesada talked about Indra's net, and that is a beautiful analogy for how we're all connected energetically by the light that we all share. And the third one is the creative and healing force of the universe is love, divine love. What is that? Total connection. When you're in love with someone, you only see the goodness in them, right? Just a feeling of total connection. Our goal is to get to that point where we feel that connection with everyone. It exists at the deeper levels. So your way to get there, my task for you is to practice what I call the 3 E's of living the Awakened Way. Number 1, you're doing it right now. Educate yourself about the greater reality. And Humanities team has so many amazing courses that will help you do that. That's the goal. Educate yourself about the greater reality. And then number 2, experience it for yourself through the practices and tools that all of us have to share with you through Humanities team's courses, through your own meditative practice. Make it your intention to have the personal experience, not just hear other people's stories. And number 3, engage higher consciousness. It's not just data you're pulling out of the air. This isn't just the information of Jesus or the loved ones. I'm engaging them in 2-way real-time conversation, and you can too, because you are not only human. All right. And then take what you experience and you learn through the education and your own engagements in meditation and engage everybody else. It's the ripple effects that are going to bring us all into fulfilling Humanities team goal of conscious living by 2040. Thank you all so much.
Amen and amen. Suzanne, thank you. Beautiful. And we're going over to Jude Curivan, coming in from the UK.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everyone. Wow, it's been an inspiration, a wonderful gathering of us all. And I love what we're all saying. We're all in this together. You know, Neale said that he had extremely wonderful experiences. I have, Suzanne has, Michael has, Oscar has, Steve has, but we all have, and we're all in this at this amazing moment of evolutionary potential. I just want to, from my own perspective, perhaps go back to what Steve said initially. We've had traditional teachings, we've had indigenous teachings, universal wisdom teachings, spiritual teachings, telling us that we are all one for a very long time. And yet, we've also had a science that's been based on materialism and separation. And that has been the prevailing worldview as a result. That is now changing. That is now being turned completely on its head. We now have the evidence at all scales of experience and at numerous fields of research to support, to underpin, to frame, to empower, to inspire, to invite all that Steve and Neale and Michael and Oscar and Suzanne are saying. What is coming forward now is a convergence of science and spirituality, converging into this deep, profound remembering of who we really are. as a cosmologist, I've been curious about the nature of reality, not just physical reality, but the whole of the cosmic reality since I was 4 years old. And what this leading edge understanding is confirming now is that mind and consciousness aren't something we have. They are literally what we and the whole world are. And that unity and diversity is, as Suzanne so wonderfully shared, and all of us are sharing, is multidimensional. It means that we can, each of us, have conversations with God. It can mean that each and every one of us can engage with those who've passed higher levels of intelligence and sentience, because we're all part of the Indra's net, as Oscar put it so beautifully, of reality. But I just want to add one further thing to that before a final invitation, is that the story of our universe is the story of us. Our universe began 13.8 billion years ago. We were told it was a big bang. It wasn't big and it wasn't a bang. It was incredibly fine-tuned. It was set up from the very get-go as the first moment of an ongoing big breath. The first moment of a big breath, which is meaningfully exists and purposefully evolves from simplicity to ever greater levels of complexity, individuated awareness, interdependence, into being. So in that journey, the hydrogen in our bodies is as old as the universe. The water in our bodies and the seas of our beloved planetary home Gaia is 5 billion or more years old. The universe and its evolutionary impulse, it seems to me, flows through us. And we are at this moment, this here and this now moment, where we have trodden this entire ancestral journey to this point. And this point, it seems to all of us, I think, that's been sharing this perspective, is for us to wake up, to remember who we really are, to remember our whole being, to remember that we belong, and to do so together. You know, I'm sharing a program at the moment called Our Conscious Revolution, because we're all in it together. And as Suzanne said, sharing our stories, coming together to link up and lift up, we can move forward together. So my invitation, which I often suggest as what do I do? It's part of Neale's question, what do I do now? So my invitation for all of us is act local. Whatever makes your heart sing, bring that into being. Bring that into sharing. Feel global. Remember that we're not just children of our planetary home. We can now wake up and grow up to become her co-evolutionary partners. We're Gaians. And thirdly, think cosmic, because we are and do belong to our entire universe. And I'll just finish by a story of my own. Many years ago, I was out in a beautiful field near my home. It was a gorgeous morning, clear blue sky. And out of that clear blue sky came these words: in the commonality of our humanity, we're all ordinary. In the commonality of our divinity, we're all extraordinary. So my invitation is to dance this incredible dance of life, this incredible dance of conscious living, where the extraordinary becomes our everyday's experience. And we value our everyday's experience as part of that miracle of consciousness, of a universe and a universe soul to which we are microcosmic co-creators and with whom we belong.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much, Jude. Jude Curivan. Thank you. And Jim, let's skip the recording from Todd Kramer and just go straight to Ross Hostetter here.
Thank you, Steve. I want to thank all the beautiful souls on this call and the beautiful souls that are listening in. Just such a deep gratitude to receive both the teaching and the vibrational energy that is just palpable, at least in my body. I want to just thank everybody for coming on the call to expand our collective awareness and also to receive some guidance about action steps that we might take, like Michael Bernard Beckwith talked about as his third point. It falls on me to talk a little bit about the numbers. Both Michael and Neale Donald Walsh spoke to us about a tipping point. This tipping point is well known. Everyone has experienced the fact that when 10% of the people have computers, or 20, suddenly within a year or two, 100% have them. When 10% of the people have colored televisions, suddenly everyone has them. It's a well-documented phenomenon. And I want to speak today about the tipping point that's going to be necessary to achieve the goals of Humanity's Team, our collective goal of transforming the consciousness of this planet. There are close to 8 billion sentient human souls on this planet right now. Some people have, in the tipping point data, say, well, maybe just 2 or 3% are going to be enough. Some people say it needs to be 20%, but a solid figure is around 10%. That's 800 million people. 800 million people that have freed themselves from the prison of separation, that have walked through the door that Michael Bernard Beckwith was talking about, that can walk out of their front door or back door and see a sacred world, see that world all the time. And the vibrational state that they're going to have is going to change this planet. 800 million is probably enough to take on all the challenges that we have. And when we're talking about Humanity's Team, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about that level of scale. And we can imagine what that number of people could do if they just simply influenced their children and their spouses and the people in their workplace, let alone the sort of wayshowers and teachers that we've had on this call that have transformed the lives of thousands of people. So I'm on this call today to offer an action step about how we can get to that point and a practical methodology for expanding our influence. So I am here as a representative of a nonprofit in Boulder, Colorado called Humanity's Team. I am proud to be in this role, and it's a delight to work with the team. I have been able to be in the team and have a close-up ringside seat to what they do. And I can tell everyone on this call that it's an amazing little enterprise for a relatively small 2 million or so annual budget organization. It plays way up above its weight class. It operates and has influence like an organization 10 times that size. It is a little engine that could. And I like to think of it as consciousness in working clothes. I've been around organizations all of my life, nonprofits, churches, sanghas, intentional communities, and I've seen how they operate. And of all of those entities, all moving in the right direction, Humanity's Team is the best run entity that I have ever witnessed. So it is a solid thing. And it falls on me to ask you all for your support of Humanity's Team, which I'm going to do in a moment. And I'll just say, if I have one spiritual teaching to add to this call, it's good to know what you need. And it's also really good to ask for help. So Humanity's Team is asking for your help. And it's doing so with a lot of background. It's been around for 20 years. And for those and try to start consciousness movements, just staying around for 20 years is a big thing. We all know that that's the case. It's done amazing things in 20 years already. It's put on 14 global oneness conferences, launched hundreds of programs. In terms of scale, it has 240,000 people on its mailing list. On Facebook alone, it has 653,000 followers. And it's formed a global community with 63 country coordinators. And that's all really just kind of in its initial startup phase. As Steve has told you, it has also launched Humanities Stream. That is an amazing platform that will do all the things that much larger platforms like Netflix and Hulu can do. Humanities Stream is more than just a bunch of courses. It is a repository of both the constructs that are going to be necessary for us to download and metabolize in order to bring this world forward. It's a repository of those constructs, but it's also a repository of vibrational energies that are going to be received when folks get on stream. And the beautiful thing about it is it can take people wherever they are, whatever they might be interested in. You might be interested in cooking. You might be interested in meditation. You might be interested in yoga. You might be interested in science. You might be interested in relationships. You might be interested in any one of a number of things. But whatever you're interested in, you can pick up a thread, pick up one of the hundreds of lures that Humanities Stream puts out in the water, attach to it, and go deeper and deeper. So it's an amazing accomplishment to have launched that with the resources that Humanities team has now. It also puts on major programs every year, including taking on the dominant paradigm, which is science right now, and forwarding actually scientific thinking on this platform. So there's a lot. Those are things that are already in the can. There's a lot of things in the works that Steve will talk about, but it's also my privilege to announce that we're going to be putting together a 16-module course that Steve and Neale Donald Walsh are putting together on changing humanity's future. We'd like to make that free if we can, free in terms of monetary contribution, but probably expensive in terms of commitment. And the idea is to form a cadre of folks that have all three of the things that Michael Beckwith talked about, that have the inspiration and also have the ability to go out and be able to take action out in the world, that people with the right vision that are able to do that. So in order to do that, Humanities team is going to need some funding. And with that, this year, it's got lots of things that it's going to do. First of all, like Steve said at the top of the call, it's going to massively increase the social media awareness that we have. We're going to spend a lot of effort developing the worldwide community and training 65 country coordinators to be their vessels of light around the world, getting out in the world to appear at conferences, getting out live and working with people, bringing Humanities team into educational venues, libraries, schools, conferences, and of course, to continue to build the big community online. One of the things that's in the works is to enhance the reach of Stream 2. It's an amazing tool, and everyone that joins will cause another one to join. So there's a doubling of that. And so it's important to lower the cost of it, to get more people involved and promote this one-to-one program that we have. I will say some things that Steve might not share in terms of the team infrastructure needs. Near and dear to my heart as someone that works a lot with organizations as an organizational development consultant and also as a coach. The team needs support. We can't expect people to volunteer forever. I will call out one person on this call, Steve Farrell, who has worked for 20 years in this organization. He and his wife, Stephanie, have contributed over $1 million of their personal money, and he's not received one dime in compensation. This is a phenomenal commitment, but it's not going to be sufficient for Humanities team to last the next 20 years. It will need to hire staff, pay people, be able to pay a living wage to women that have children, men that are in that same situation, supporting a family. And so increasing the team and its capacities is an important thing. And I'll close in one thing is about the youth demographic that we've talked about. in terms of humanities team subscribers, 70% are women over 50. These women that are on this, and many of them are on this call, are way showers. They're founders in their own right and in their own possibility. They've been, you've been devoting your lives to a cause and showing up again and again and again and again. And although we may last for a long time, we're not going to last forever. So it's really important to take that legacy, that commitment, that drive, and the wisdom that are embodied in that soul group, especially the soul group of women, and be able to bring it into a cohered form where it can be shared with the world, which is exactly what Humanities Team does. So as I said, it falls on me to kind of know what we need, know what we're going to do, and ask for what we need. So I'm going to do that now without apology. Humanities Team is trying to raise about $3 million this year. $700,000 has already been raised. And there's a matching program for donations, which Steve can talk about. So some donations now would be well received and are critically needed. We do recognize that that everyone has their budgets and that they need to support themselves first to do this work in the world. And so I would like you all to consider a time when you might not need the things that are supporting you now, and think about writing Humanities Team into your will as a specific bequest or as a general bequest, or if you happen to have a trust, to make Humanities Team, this nonprofit, a recipient, a beneficiary of it. Those are relatively simple things to do. And I will just close on the fact that we have developing a capacity to take appreciated property like colleges do and med schools do and all that sort of thing, be able to receive it so that no federal tax is paid, and then put it to good use in the mission. So before turning this over to Steve, I would encourage you to look into your hearts and consider this action step. It's something that will expand your influence tenfold, 100-fold over the years to come. And we are going to get to the mission. It is not just a pie in the sky dream. It is a real possibility. And as Steve said, I have no doubt that it's going to happen. So thank you, Steve, for letting me on the call, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ross. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. So Humanities Team, we're a 20-year-old 501c3 nonprofit. And of course, we've all been talking about elevating conscious living as the thing that creates this journey to a sustainable and flourishing planet. Part of that is awareness building. Part of that is supporting you and all of us that are on this journey with video trainings, with live programs, with community events, et cetera, et cetera. This wholeness, this oneness, this whole inside out thing where what oneness is, right? Which is beautiful and which is always, and which is unchangeable. Michael says the presence that's never in an absence, right? And all we're doing here with this is lifting ourselves up into that presence that's never in absence, feeling the beauty and magnificence and blessing and miracle power of that one, of that whole of which we are a part. So let me say, the thing that drives me every day, that gets me out of bed and excited, that inspires me, is that I know we're going to get there in 2040, that we are on a pace now to do that. But I also don't want to ignore some things that are true, which I'll share. One is that most of the philanthropy, you may know, is going to churches, to hospitals, and to colleges. And right now there's this term existential crisis that way too often is surfacing. I'm sure you're hearing it with increasing frequency as these weather patterns get worse and other things are going on. Let's get rid of this existential crisis word by simply getting this conscious living thing going, these 800 million that are the tipping point, getting this going in the world where we're traveling together, heart to heart, hand in hand, living consciously, elevating this as the thing. This is a part of the major discussion. It's a part of philanthropy circles, that funding isn't challenging for this, that funding becomes abundant for this initiative that truly can get rid of the word existential crisis. The other thing I'll share that you've probably seen in the press too is, the level of concern on some people's part is so elevated. You've probably heard of the human extinction movement, which is getting increasing press, where they're saying we've ruined the planet, it's too late, we've hit the iceberg, the ship's going down, let's stop having kids. Or these compassion movements that likewise share, let's just have compassion for ourselves because we know where this is going and it's not a pretty picture. Let's get rid of these, let's heal these perspectives that are out in the world that don't make any sense at all. One decision away. This is the perfect time for advancement. We can do it, and we are doing it. I shared of some of the attainments here that humanities team has already brought in the last year, and how we were focusing on elevating consciousness. Humanities Stream 2.0, which is extending out worldwide. The oneness, the one-for-one program that we're extending to people all over the world, where people receive free subscriptions where they can't afford $39.99 a month or the $400 a month, which is the economical platform that we have now. Now, Ross mentioned there's an anonymous donor who in December generously gave us $500,000, and she said, yes, let's make this a match. 425,000 is still here as a match. So if you were to give 1,000 or whatever you might be called to give, 100, whatever you might be called to give, there's still a $425,000 that will match your gift. And isn't it neat where you can double your level of giving just like that? So I want to invite you to consider the match. You'll see the match and the $3 million figure that we're running against, where we are against it, all on the Changing Humanities Future site. Half of the funds coming in will go to to this project that's elevating conscious living as the thing through social media, and half will go to the Humanities Stream 2.0 platform that we're extending all around the world, and to global support for the platform, where we're walking it into libraries and schools all over the world. We're already in 65 countries with country coordinators. All that's needed is budget to support us going out into schools and libraries, et cetera, to share this platform, which is a community, which has live programs and video trainings and all of these things. So for those of you that resonate, I'm sure there's some that don't, but some of you here probably resonate with what we're doing. I want to invite you. We've had many calls to action. Be the voice, educate yourself. There have been a number of calls to action here during the program. Here's another call to action too. If you resonate with this work, to financially support it, to donate, and to help us drive to this $3 million initial investment, which really gets this thing out in the world to these 800 million people that represent the tipping point. So I invite you to consider that. Ross has covered, there are lots of ways beyond just writing a check, wills, estates, securities. There are lots of ways to donate that we're equipped to support you in donating in these other ways, if you're entertaining that. And just to partner with us really across the board on all of these component parts of our initiative, including financially donating, so that we do it for ourselves. We get rid of this notion of existential crisis. We do it for our kids. We do it for future generations. We do it for, the most beautiful thing is, for me, even if there wasn't a problem out in the world, the treasure, I'll call it, or deliciousness in living, or I could use other words, that I've harvested from living consciously myself is extraordinary. And I know I'm speaking to many of you. It's why you're living consciously also. We would do it anyway, even if the world wasn't challenged. So invite you to just support this initiative. Let's spread the initiative all over the world. and create this better future that we've always known was possible.